Good evening, everyone. Today is the 23rd of March 2023. A number of years ago, I was visiting in Batesville, Arkansas, a gentleman by the name of Jerry Maurer. He's deceased now. And while I was there, he was kind enough to gift to me 12 volumes of the sermons of C Philpot. And they've been a blessing to me. And I thought I'd just kind of give a quick overview of C Philpot. Now, you can go to sermonaudio.com/house and you can see C Philpot's resignation from the established church at Southampton, Oxfordshire. Philpot was born at Ripple, Kent, where his father was rector on September 13, 1802. He was educated at Oxford University. He was elected a Fellow of Worcester College and appeared to have a brilliant scholastic career before him. But the Lord's purpose being otherwise, he was brought into solemn concern spiritually and led into a deep and gracious understanding of the truth. He first preached in the established church at Stadhampton, Oxfordshire in 1835. However, he was constrained, for the truth's sake, to sever his connection with the Church of England and to resign his curacy and his fellowship. The letter to the provost stating his reasons was published and went into several editions. The same year he was baptized by John Warburton at Arlington, Wilts. The rest of his life was spent laboring among the strict Baptists. For 26 years he held a joint pastorate at Stamford and Oakham, Rutland. He preached to a large congregation throughout the country, especially in London and in Wiltshire. His preaching was marked by clear views of the gospel truth. For over 20 years he was editor of the Gospel Standard, where many of his sermons first appeared. Well, this is again the story of C Philpot separating himself from the State Church of England and going amongst the old school Baptist, strict Baptist. I have 12 volumes of his sermons, and they are very, very edifying. And I'm not going to get into his sermons tonight. I just want to state that if you get a chance, you can go online and you can get some of his sermons. You can also, I would like to recommend the Gospel Missions out of Choteau, I believe that's Montana, Gospel Standard, out of Gospel Standard out of Choteau, Montana. You can get a lot of different books, including a lot of Pink's books as well. I just ordered 2 of Pink's books from there today. But anyway, it's good to have biblical material we can refer to in our studies and so on. And it helps build up us in the faith. One of the things that comes through with C Philpot's, all of his messages is the warfare that the Christian is in on a daily basis. He doesn't preach that everything's coming up roses. I don't think he'd get along very good with Joel Osteen. Okay, and he does. He doesn't deny that there are evil spirits, like some people are denying right now and on the YouTube, and try to push it all back to mythology and paganism. Satan is real, his emissaries are real, and he's present today. He goes about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour, and he constantly goes after God's people to try to bring them down. Of course, if they're truly God's people, they will not be brought down. And because they've been chosen in him from the foundation of the world. Now, another person I would recommend that you might want to check out, like I say, if you go to Gospel Standard website, you'll see they have a whole catalog of really good books. There's certain people I've read over the years that have been a blessing, you know. And no, I do not hate reformers. I've enjoyed reading some of Luther's writings. The Bondage of the Will is a good book. Also, I've read some of Calvin's Institutes. Some of it I enjoy, some of it I don't agree with. I enjoy reading some of John Owen, The Death of Death and the Death of Christ. It's a great book. The Absolute Necessity of the Atonement. There are other great books out there you can avail yourself of. But the greatest book of all times is the Bible. And you can never get too much of the Bible. And there's also some great hymnals out there. I've showed those to you before. This is a good one, the Baptist Hymn Book by Beebe. Heart's Collections, Heart's Hymns. This is another, got some really good hymns in it. It's by a guy that's deceased now. He used to be in the Sovereign Grace movement, Don Fortner. And the title of it is Songs of Grace. And he wrote all the songs in this book. Also, the Old School Hymnal. Now that's, a lot of those hymns in there are, you know, you have to be careful because some of them are Arminian. Okay. And then we like to sing the Psalms. Okay. The Psalmody. Book of Psalms for singing. And then also another really excellent hymn book is this book, Gadsby's Hymns by Gadsby. A lot of people have asked me over the years if I would subscribe to commentaries like Matthew Henry and Adams' commentary. I'm not a big fan of commentaries because I'd rather stick strictly with the scriptures myself. If I'm going to now Arthur Pink has written some good things on the Gospel of John and also on Hebrews. I've got those books. You know, everybody should have in their library The Attributes of God by Arthur Pink and The Sovereignty of God by Arthur Pink. Those are the first two books you need to get in your library, along with an authorized King James Version of the Bible. I'm not a big advocate of being a student of Koine Greek or the old Hebrew manuscripts. I believe God has revealed himself in the authorized King James Version of the Bible. I have no problem if a person wants to look up a word in Strong's Concordance, but I know a person that doesn't take too strongly to Strong's Concordance either. So, you know, there's a lot of different opinions out there about it, but you can't go wrong in reading Philpot and his sermons. You can't go wrong in those hymnals I just mentioned. You can't go wrong in studying Pink. You can't go wrong in studying some of these writers I've mentioned, as long as you use discernment, right? Use discernment. Well, that's what I have on my mind tonight. I hope this has been a blessing for you to consider these kinds of areas of study. And I'll kind of leave it with you by singing a little song to you tonight. What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on Jesus, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how sweet to walk in the pilgrim way, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how bright the path grows from day to day, leaning on the everlasting arms. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms. I have blessed peace with my Lord so near, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on the everlasting arms. May the good Lord be with you in a special way this evening is my prayer. God bless.